Hello and welcome back to the Phibbs, the Druid podcast. I am your host, Phibbs. And today, I was originally going to go over Landfall pretty in depth, but that episode is taking a little bit more work than I had originally thought it would. So I wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind a lot lately, ever since I started this podcast, really, and probably rattling around in the back of my brain even longer than that. I want to ask the question, why are land tutors socially acceptable, but fast tutors are not? So, I want to start by telling a story. I got my partner into Commander probably about almost 2 years ago, and she knows that I love to play green. I play a lot of decks that where ramp is a huge focus, and eventually, once she realized that land destruction was a tool in the game, she jokingly started saying, I just need a Armageddon against you, because it's really the only way I can beat you. Now, this is not true. She has beaten me quite a few times, but it took me a long time to really put myself in her shoes and, I guess, look back on my past as a player and really just try and empathize with how she's feeling. I promise this is all related to the subject, but eventually I kind of I started scratching my head, and I'm like, well, okay, why is land destruction is such a faux pas in Commander? At one time it wasn't. I wasn't playing back then, so I never had the unfortunate Armageddon set to 0, after a Wrath of God or something. But I know a lot of people did in the early days of playing Commander, because it was acceptable. It was not a faux pas yet. I understand why, because why it became a faux pas is because that led to very grindy games, very long games, in some ways non-deterministic if somebody didn't have a way to rubber band out of their graveyard if they were playing in Armageddon. So that begs the question, why is land destruction a faux pas? And that kind of led me to another question, which is, why does green in general, the Commander staples especially, why do they kind of get a step dodge from the community? Why are they granted immunity from the community? And from a mono green standpoint, I kind of feel like they are, and I'm talking about tutors here. I'm still talking about tutors, especially the staples like Cultivate, Ramping Growth, Kodama's Reach, Sky Shroud Claim, those kinds of cards. Crop rotation among them, which I spoke about in my last episode. So why are these cards given immunity from the community? And on the front side, on the face, from a mono green perspective, I kind of feel like it's nobody really cares when you cultivate, or you ramping growth, or you far seek, or you Nylea's Intervention. Maybe Nylea's Intervention might get a couple of antenna to poke up momentarily because it lets you go get whatever lands you want. Maybe some things like, what's that really big one? Traverse the Outland, I think is what it's called, where you can basically, in my Multani deck, I can pretty much drag my entire, the entirety of my basics out of my deck with it. That might, again, get some antenna to poke up momentarily, but nobody really cares when you tutor for a land. Even if it's coming onto the battlefield, they don't really care. Why? Why don't they care? Well, I think that a lot of the community thinks that green is weak by itself. In conjunction with other things like, Jund is a very strong combination. Sultai is a very strong combination that happens to have green. Any of the 4-color combinations that happen to have green, very strong. Golgari, very strong commander. Those are just, a couple off that I am naming off the top of my head. But by itself, I kind of feel like people don't really... nobody's knee-jerk. Nobody's bitching at you, complaining, if you cultivate. Why is that? I think it's because a lot of the community kind of just does this on the front side, the front face of what's going on, the front of it. They're kind of just patting the head of the little green player. Oh, it's okay. He's just Kanama's reaching. He's just cultivating. You can have it. We're not even gonna really recognize it as a tutor. Because for a long time, I didn't really even see Cultivate as a tutor when I first started playing Commander. It was kind of a eureka moment when I realized that Cultivate is in the same category as Vampiric Tutor, Mystical Tutor, all of those fast ones, Enlightened Tutor. It's not as good. Not even by a long stretch is it good. It's good. However, contrary to the popular opinion amongst a lot of the community these days, that I see a lot of videos downplaying or saying Cultivate is overrated, you should cut it from your deck, it's not that great. It's really good. And especially in a landfall deck, it's really, really good. Even if you're drawing it late, because a single Cultivate can set off a chain reaction of triggers that could potentially give you enough value to just pull the win out of your butt on turn 10. So I'm kind of dancing around the issue, but I think on the backside of this argument, it's not so much that the community is patting the head of the mono green player. It's that the rest of the community that's playing any kind of color combination that has green in it they want to abuse it. They'll talk a lot of smack about Cultivate and Rampant Growth, but then you'll see those cards somehow end up in their list. Because they're playing a 5-color deck that is going to rely heavily on green for its fixing, as it should. You should not be relying on just your Chromatic Lantern to fix you in your 5-color Joda deck. No, you should not. You're going to be looking for the World Tree with a tutor that's green, probably. Like, what is it? Sylvan Scrying. What's the other one? It's not Hour of Devastation. Hour of Promise also can go find it. Expedition Map can go find it. But you're going to be relying on green for these things. So I think a lot of people these are just kind of like, they are the socially acceptable tutors of the meta. Like overall, like across the board, they are completely socially acceptable because people are just like, oh, well, you know, you need lands to play the game. I need to fix my 5-color deck. I need to fix my 4-color deck that has green in it. So I'm going to abuse the things that I secretly disparage online with another anonymous user on Reddit or YouTube or Discord. So all that being said, let's start from the beginning. Every color has access to fetch lands. All of them. Is some degree. Whether it's Evolving Wilds, Fabled Passage, and Terramorphic Expanse, the budget options, or you're in, you know, you're playing 4-color Omnath and you're abusing all of the fetches, because I'm pretty sure you can run all 10 of the 2-color fetches in Omnath, if I remember correctly when I built him, which are tutors. So that is 10 tutors that are lands also. So they're serving a dual capacity, and they might be ignored at first, but I think the main reason that I pulled that deck apart when I built it was because I realized that it was way too tutor heavy, even if the tutors were just lands. I was running also things like Cultivate, and I think I was running like 1 of each snow land, and I was running Field of the Dead in that deck, and it was pushed as far as you could probably push it on the budget that I had at the time, which was pretty high, and I had access to all 10 of the 2-color fetches. But why is the reaction so different to someone playing Cultivate versus someone playing Vampiric or Demonic Tutor? Cultivate is a 2-for-1. You are getting 2 lands. If you've already played your land this turn, you are setting yourself ahead a turn, potentially from the rest of the board, by putting a land onto the battlefield. And then you're assuring yourself that you have a land drop next turn. And if you have an additional land drop effect next turn, and you happen to draw a land, then you're even more ahead. But a lot of the fast tutors, they're just 1-for-1s. They're essentially just a cantrip. They're a 1-for-1. I'm paying this 1 card. I'm expending this 1 card to get 1 card out of my deck. That is basically a cantrip. It's manipulated 100% because you're assuring what you are drawing from it. But yeah, it still really is much like a cantrip. So this realization kind of makes me sad as a mono green player. Why are these green land tutors pretty much universally ignored? Why does green get the pass, get the immunity? Why is land destruction such a faux pas in EDH? And does green really benefit most from this attitude? Yes, I believe as a mono green player, I really do. So essentially I have access to tutors that, unless they are creature tutors, which I will talk about in probably the next episode or the episode after that, I will go in depth on them. But green, essentially, we have access to tutors that are ignored. And we have immunity from land destruction because nobody plays it. Unless you're a monster. So, who established this? Well, I think a lot of it has to do with large creative minds, large creative contents that will not be named. You don't. If you're watching this video, you're probably aware of who they are, as well as the CAG, the Community Advisory Group, the old one, as well as the newly formed one, which I don't even think it's called that anymore. They are the people who establish this. They set the precedent. But they've kind of put green in a bubble. And as somebody who consistently runs away with games in mono green, I hate to admit it, the way that you beat me, the way that you beat a mono green player, is by taking away our resources, by choking us, by destroying our lands, by countering that, well-timed, of course, because unless you're running a Baral deck that's oops all counter spells, you're going to have to time your counter spell. You can't just be willy-nilly counterspelling every single Cultivate, every single Rampant Growth, Kodama's Reach, etc. But as the saying goes in, I believe, Modern and Legacy, I don't know who coined it, but you bolt the bird. You always bolt the bird, because if I untap with the bird, I now have 3 mana if I'm playing a land, at least, on turn 2. So I am time walking. I am taking an extra turn. It's also something that I've been really reflecting on, is how these land tutors essentially act like not necessarily a full extra turn. In some cases, I think that they really are, depending on your strategy, especially a landfall strategy where it's just ting, 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 Scoot Swarm's going off over here, and you've got your Ancient Green Warden over here who's doubling up your Scoot Swarms, and, you've got just trigger, 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 value, value, value. Yeah, I think that those kinds of turns are maybe, because of how much time you are taking away from your opponents, how much you are monopolizing me. I am monopolizing the chess clock when I do this. It's akin to an extra turn play, which is a faux pas. Most people hate extra turns, watching it happen in a Commander game. I know I do. I'm pretty sure a large portion of the community does. So I've started putting together packages on my Moxafield account lately, and the creature and land tutor packages are kind of wild. They're not. This is going to be nowhere near a exhaustive list. But I do want to go over what I called my fast land tutors, all of my low curve land tutors, pretty much in order, because there's about 38 of them that I've collected, instant sorceries and enchantments. I found one that I'd never even heard of this card, this enchantment, Elfheim Sanctuary, but we'll get to that at the very end. So yeah, let's go through them to show you just how many of them there are. And a lot of these are like 25-cent cards. Nature's Lore originally, before it started getting reprinted in the last couple of years, there was, I remember when I first became aware of the card, it was like $20. Now this copy that I'm looking at, it's about $5, so it's easy to get your hands on, because Nature's Lore hadn't been reprinted in ages, and then it was, and now it's being reprinted, it seems like, every 6 months. Anyways, let's go through them in alphabetical order, starting with Abundant Harvest. Abundant Harvest, 1 green for a sorcery. Choose non-land or land. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card of the chosen kind. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is a 35-cent card. And it's not a true tutor because it's kind of it's a spin it until you find what you're looking for, but you have the choice. You can choose I need a land right now, or I need a non-land, and if your deck happens to be an all-creature deck, you're guaranteed to hit a creature. It's a very good card, very strong for 1 green. Yeah, sorcery speed, but a lot of these are. Like a lot of these, 28 of the 36 that I have on this list. I think I said 38 earlier, but I actually took off a couple just now because they belong in another list. Next one is going to be Analyze the Pollen. 1 green for a sorcery. This is a 69-cent card. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may collect evidence 8. So, reminder text, exile cards with total mana value 8 or greater from your graveyard. Search your library for a basic land card. If evidence was collected, instead search for your library for a creature or land card. Reveal that card, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. So this one's a little bit, it's modal, again, like Abundant Harvest is. Where it can, if you're in a graveyard heavy deck, you could potentially use it as a 1-drop sorcery speed creature tutor. Yeah, it goes to hand, it doesn't go to the battlefield, but it's pretty good. Pretty good card. I think this is from Murders at Markov Manor. Next, I'm going to talk about Attune with Ether. 1 green for a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. You get 2 energy. This card is great in my Nissa World Soul Speaker deck. It goes and gets me a land to assure my land drop, as well as gives me the 2 energy that Nissa is also going to give me for playing that land. Very, very good card in that deck. But again, it's a 1-drop that goes and gets you a basic land. I do want to point out that there is a card that does break all of these basic land tutors, and it is called, what is it called? Root Path Purifier. Card is really, really cool. I don't have the image up. Let's look it up really quick. Root Path Purifier is from the Brothers War Commander set. 3/4 Elf Druid for 3 and 1 green. Lands you control and land cards in your library are basic. So with any of these, including Cultivate, you can use them to go find whatever land you want. You can use this Attune with Ether if you happen to have the Root Path Purifier out to go and get your Nykthos, your Gaia's Cradle, if you happen to have one. I don't own that card. Your Ancient Tomb, your Mirror Pole, your Cavernous Souls, whatever it is. Next card's going to be Brave the Wilds. 1 green for a sorcery. Noticing a theme here, all of these have been 1 green for a sorcery. This one has Bargain. You may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast a spell. I believe this is from the recent Eldraine set. Is it Wilds of Eldraine, I believe? Yeah, because Throne of Eldraine was the original. Wilds of Eldraine. If this spell was bargained, target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste. It's still land. So turns it animates one of your lands. Search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. Yeah, basically very similar. Again, it's modal. If you're happen to be on a animate land strategy, as I think a lot of people will be once they really play around with earthbending, because that mechanic is really kind of crazy from Avatar. Um, you'll notice that on this channel I don't talk about a lot of Universes Beyond set stuff, but yeah, the earthbending mechanic is kind of cracked. Moving on, Bushwhack. I believe this was from like March of the Machine originally, possibly. This version is from Foundations, excuse me. 39-cent card. One green for a sorcery speed. Choose one. Search your library for a basic land card. Reveal it. Put it into your hand. Then shuffle. Or target creature you control fights a target creature you don't control. So it's modal again. Great. It's a piece of ramp or a fight spell. Cool card. I run it a lot on my arena decks. Next is Caravan Vigil. 1 and green for a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card. Reveal it. Put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library. It also has Morbid. You may put that card onto the battlefield instead of putting it into your hand if a creature died this turn. So, yeah, if you're in something that is aristocrat heavy, you know, you got your Phyrexian altar out doing its thing. You got a lot of Goonies running around. You could just turn this into a 1-drop, put a land from your search for land, put it onto the battlefield. And also, notably, now that I'm rereading this card, it doesn't enter tapped. 35-cent card from OG Innistrad. Collective Voyage is next. This is one of my favorites. I play this in my Multani deck. 1 and a green for a sorcery. Again, this is a $10.99 card. It's an $11 card, usually. It has Join Forces. Starting with you, each player may pay any amount of mana. Each player searches his or her library for up to X basic land cards, where X was the total amount of mana paid this way, puts them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffles his or her library. So this is a group hug style card. Very, very powerful. I actually gave somebody the game the last time I played at my LGS, because I played this card on turn 1. And he proceeded to storm off and kill us on turn 3 or 4, because he was playing some new Spider-Man commander. I think it was he was one of the Green Goblins who's not green. He was Grixis. Had some kind of madness effect that I don't think is called madness. Anyways, moving on. I don't care about Spider-Man. Cultivate. OG Cultivate. The good old tried and true. 2 and 1 green for a sorcery speed. Tutor. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those. Put one into the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand. Then shuffle. This card is not overrated. Please stop cutting it. It is a good card, especially in mono green. Next is Edge of Autumn. 1 and a green for a sorcery. If you control 4 or fewer lands, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Pretty cool. So if you're kind of behind, this can go get you a land and put it on the battlefield. It also has cycling. You can sacrifice a land. So sacrifice a land, discard this card, draw a card. It's a very, very interesting mechanically because of the cycling cost. Very unusual. I could see applications for this in decks like maybe a lower powered Lumra deck. Next is Fork in the Road. 1 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and reveal them. Put one into your hand and the other into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. This is a 35-cent card. I can see this working pretty well with a Crucible of Worlds, or a Conduit of Worlds, or that artifact creature from like Dominaria, like Last Dominaria / Martian Machine, that whole story arc. I can't remember its name, but it's basically a Crucible of Worlds that you can like get out of the graveyard with that mechanic that's not called Disturb. It's called something else. I'll put it in the video after I edit it. I'll look it up. Into the North, 1 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor. Search your library for a Snowland card and put it into play tapped. Then shuffle your library. This is a 199 card. I think it's possibly because it's the original printing. It's been reprinted a couple times. If you're on Snowlands, it's basically a rampant growth. Kodama's Reach, 2 and 1 green for a sorcery speed tutor. Also, it's arcane, if that matters to you. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, put one onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, then shuffle your library. This is a Cultivate, with the only notable difference being that it's arcane. Still a tutor. And still, this version is $2.49 actually. I can remember a time when I picked up a grip of these. Like, I think I remember buying 10 of these at an LGS for like 35 cents a piece. Maybe even less. This is a card that I actually, next card, I'd never heard of this card until I was starting to investigate for this episode, doing some digging. Land Grant. I believe this is from Mercadian Masks. 1 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor. If you have no land cards in hand, you may reveal your hand instead of paying Land Grant's mana cost. So it is a free land tutor, potentially. Search your library for a forest card and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Notably, it's like Nature's Lore in that it looks for a forest card, not a basic land, or not a basic forest either. Pretty powerful. I actually kind of want to play around with this one a little bit now that I'm aware that it even exists. I'm constantly finding new cards when in the course of doing Scryfall searches for this this show, and this is one of them. It's pretty neat. Next one's Lay of the Land. I have many of these many copies of this card laying around. I bought a lot of M14 when it came out. That was back when I had just gotten back into Magic. I was buying a ton of product back then. 1 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into hand, and shuffle your library. 35-cent card. Many Partings, 35-cent card. 1 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Create a food token. So it is a 2-for-1 because it's giving you that sweet food token. Nature's Lore. I mentioned this earlier. 1 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor. Search your library for a forest card, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. It's really powerful because it puts it to the battlefield. That's why it was $20 or more at one point, because it hadn't been reprinted, and it puts it to the battlefield untapped. Nissa's Triumph. I really like this card, especially if you're running a couple of Nissa Planeswalkers in your deck. Green for a sorcery speed tutor. Search your library for up to 2 basic forest cards. If you control a Nissa Planeswalker, instead search your library for up to 3 land cards. Reveal those cards, put them into your hand, and then shuffle your library. I remember this was my signature spell for my Nissa deck when I was trying to get into Oathbreaker, because it was like a thing in my LGS for a minute. And then I realized very quickly the barrier to entry was pretty high because people were literally playing a lot of like it was like CDH almost, like there was pre-game actions going on and like monks flying around and stuff. I don't think I won one game with that deck, even though it was really powerful. I couldn't. I was always like a turn or two behind. Next, 1 and a green for a sorcery. Open the Gates. Sorcery speed tutor. Search your library for a basic land card or gate card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. So if you're on Gates, it's pretty good. Rampant Growth. I know this is the OG ramp card. It's the key key name. It's the reason why we call it ramp, because of this card. Rampant Growth, 1 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, shuffle your library. Reclaim the Waste, 1 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor. It has kicker 3. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into hand, then shuffle your library. If this spell was kicked, search your library for 2 basic land cards instead of 1. It's pretty cool. It's again, 35-cent tutor. Rites of Spring, 35-cent tutor. 1 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor. Discard any number of cards from your hand. Search your library for that many basic land cards. Reveal those cards. Put them into your hand and then shuffle your library. Could be cool in some decks that are interacting with their graveyard and wanting to discard a lot of stuff from hand to yard. Scouting Trek. This card I'd never heard of until I was doing this research. 1 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor. Search your library for any number of basic land cards, reveal them, and set them aside. Shuffle your library and then put those cards on top of it in any order. So, kind of cool. If you're running something that is very mana hungry and you want to maybe, I don't know, top deck 3 lands so that you're assuring that you're going to be drawing them, or maybe even a landfall deck. You're hitting those landfalls for the next 3 turns, or maybe you can play them off the top of your library. Who knows? There's some applications for this one. Again, I'd never even heard of it. Still, 39-cent card. Search for Tomorrow, 2 and a green. This one's been in a lot of precons. 2 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Notably, it's kind of cool because it has Suspend 2. You can pay 1 green. Rather than cast a spell from your hand, you may pay 1 green, exile it with 2 time counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter on it. When the last counter is removed, cast it without paying its mana cost. So it's like a delayed Rampant Growth, essentially. Shared Roots. This is a brand new card from the Avatar set. 1 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor that's also a lesson. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. Now, let's pause for a second. Why would the designers at Wizards give us another copy of Rampant Growth if Rampant Growth was not good? Just saying. Sylvan Scrying. This card is fantastic. 1 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor. Search your library for a land card, any land card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. So this can go get the land that you need when you need it. Thirsting Roots. 1 and a green for a sorcery. Choose 1. Search your library for a basic land card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. Or you can proliferate. And reminder, proliferate says, choose any number of permanents and or players, then give each another counter of each kind already there. So yeah, this card can be strong in any kind of Super Friends deck, obviously any kind of Infect deck, 1/1 counters deck. 3 Visits. This card's actually still more than $5 usually. This I'm looking at this one's from Commander Masters. It's sitting at $7.49. Also, like Nature's Lore, it was up there for a while until it started getting reprinted recently. 1 and a green for a sorcery speed tutor. Search your library for a forest card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. It's basically another copy of Nature's Lore. Fantastic card because it comes in untapped, which is very, very similar to it comes in untapped. Very similar to the investment that you would be making if you were not in green, or you were still on rocks and you were playing something like a Mind Stone, where you're paying 2 to have 1 that you could still use immediately. Traverse the Ulvenwald. I'm not entirely sure. I think I have a copy of this lying around somewhere. 1 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into hand, and then shuffle. But it also has Delirium. If there's 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, instead search your library for a creature or land card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. So again, very similar to Analyze the Pollen in that it's modal and can turn into a creature tutor if you meet the requirement. Next up is going to be the instance. Crop Rotation. I already talked about crop rotation to death in my last episode. I don't need to do any reminder text. I will just put up the card image and we'll move on. Cycle of Renewal. This is a pretty powerful card. It is, again, like at Wizards, if they didn't realize that Harrow was a good card, they wouldn't give us another copy of it so that the mono green players could play both. 2 and a green for an instant lesson. Sacrifice a land, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle, exactly like Harrow. Evolution Charm. 1 and a green for an instant. This has 3 different modes. Choose 1, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into hand, then shuffle your library. Or return target creature card from your graveyard to hand, or target creature gains flying until end of turn. So it's a ramp spell, a recursion spell, or a potentially I'm going to fly over you and maybe even kill you right now spell. Go Forth. I really like this card. I didn't even know it existed until I found it one day on Arena. I run it a lot in those mono green decks on Arena. 1 and a green for an instant. Choose 1, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it to hand, then shuffle, or target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. I really like this card, especially because it has some pretty sweet art with Nissa on it, and some pretty cool reminder or flavor text. Spark or no, Nissa would always be an explorer. I really like Nissa. She's probably my favorite planeswalker. Harrow, as I mentioned it earlier, 2 and a green for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a land, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Notably, this is good because it puts them onto the battlefield untapped. So Cycle of Renewal is not quite as good as Harrow. However, it is instant speed and it will still get you those landfall triggers that you can harvest. The next is a pretty expensive card. Pretty expensive tutor. 2 and a green for an instant speed tutor. Realms Uncharted. Search your library for 4 land cards with different names and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of those cards, put the chosen cards into your graveyard and the rest into your hand, and then shuffle your library. Notably, anything that's playing lands out of the graveyard or can just get them back with an ETB like Lumra. Card's awesome. Last instant, you happen upon a glade. 2 and a green for an instant. Choose 1, journey on, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle or make camp. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So recursion or ramp, both great things to have access to in any commander game. Lastly, I wanted to talk about this card that is pretty sweet enchantment that I see a lot of application for. It's a 79-cent enchantment called Elfheim Sanctuary. 1 and a green for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal that card, and put it into your hand. If you do, skip your draw step this turn and shuffle your library. So it's kind of cool because it gives you that option that modal option to either draw normally or tutor for land, because you need the land when you need it. And again, it's a 79-cent enchantment. So we're digging into 45-minute plus here, so I kind of want to wrap up this video. But I wanted to read all of these off to kind of hit home how many there are. And these are ones that are just ignored. So I put the question out there to you as the community. What is your answer to the question of why are land tutors socially acceptable? Why is it anything that any of the reasons that I gave today? Is it something that I'm not seeing? Is it, and I may be being slightly too cynical about it? I don't know. But please, please, please let me know in the comments. And please like and or subscribe if you liked this video. Please engage with me on my Discord channel. Engage with me in the comments. I also created an Instagram for this channel recently, so you can also find me there. I will have all of the links in the show notes. And I did want to give a big shout out. I was supposed to do it last week when I started using the new intro animation, but I wanted to give a big shout out to my friend Chris Sehenik. I'm also going to be putting his information into the show notes where you can reach him. He did a great job on that intro animation, and I just wanted to give him a big shout out. Thanks, bro. Love you. I love the new intro. You killed it. So throw him some love on some of his socials or maybe some work. That's what he does for a living. So I'm not going to lie. I kind of got a little bit spaced the last 2 weeks, and I was brewing a Rasta list that I don't think I ever finished. Did I ever actually finish that list? I'm sorry, I'm totally not prepared, because I didn't want to just be reading from my show notes at all. Mostly I just wanted to be kind of rapping with you guys. Rasta, did I ever finish this list? It looks like I did not finish this list. So the Rasta list will be up within the following show notes. It's not completely done, but thank you all for watching and listening and showing me some love and support. And please engage with me in the comments. Let me know what you think, and have a wonderful day.